Oh, by the way, welcome to this next video here in the module. Got a little premature there in the content. Glad you're still with me. And now what we're going to do in this video is we're going to start making these milestone pieces of content which we're going to email people to. So we're not going to write the email copy or anything yet. We're just going to come up with what the heck are we going to say in this milestone content. So remember, an email sends them to a web page where we deliver some good results in advance style content that helps them get through milestone number one. Now, at first glance, one would think, oh dear God, we've got a lot of work to do. This is just going to be horrible. But haha, we actually did all the work way back when there in module numero uno. Might I bring your attention, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, to Exhibit A. All right, here, let me get rid of this guy. So, if you'll recall, we created your bag of tricks example. Remember this guy? And we used this to create your lead magnet, right? That bribe that we gave away. So, if you remember, we first used this to kind of get a 30,000 foot view, and then what we did is we said, okay, we're going to choose one of these situations and create a solution, a lead magnet full of solutions for them, right? So if our original lead magnet was something like how to double your registrations in 5 days or less, or 5 steps to double registrations, or whatever it happened to be, therefore, logically, our milestone sequence just needs to go through each of those 5 steps. So how do we do that without doing extra work? Well, quite simple. The first thing we do is we come over here to this guy. Ha-ha! Exhibit B. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. Come on. Don't give me a hard time, computer. Cooperate. Okay, let's see. Move a little bit for me. You know, when you make these things larger, they get kind of wonky. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go over here to this thing. So if we are going to create a 4-part milestone series about doubling registrations, we have our entire plan laid out for us already, all the way back there in module number 1. For example, milestone video number 1 is going to be a video on how to get better targeted PPC traffic. And what are we going to teach them? We're just going to walk them through these checkpoints of the milestone. We're going to show them how to do competitive research. We're going to show them how to do complementary targeting, and we're going to show them how to do custom audiences. And if you'll recall, you've already gone and done all the work here. If you remember, we've got this guy right here, your checkpoint example. So you remember, once we create your list of milestones and checkpoints, your sort of overview of that, we can now go into this worksheet we've already done. You just remember, just go to module 1. All this stuff is readily available in your members area here. And you probably already filled this out, you know? So now we say, okay, well, what are we going to make the video about? Well, we're going to talk about the 5 steps to double registration, and milestone number 1 is this getting better targeted traffic here in PPC. Then what are our milestones that we're going to walk them through here, our checkpoints, right? So checkpoint steps to completion. Identify top 20 competitors in Google search results. So quite literally, what we can do if we were building a milestone series based on what I've done in this worksheet is I would make a video where in the beginning of the video, I would say something like, okay, welcome to this video. Now today, I'm going to walk you through some strategies on 5 steps to double your registration. Now the number one thing we're going to deal with today is getting more traffic, and more specifically getting targeted traffic. And man, I could have this with, like, I don't even need slides right now. I could literally just show my face on camera using my webcam, or not, just have my browser open to Facebook, for example, and say, now as you can see, I'm over here on Facebook, and the first step we're going to do in getting targeted traffic is we're going to start looking at competitors. And the reason this is important is because blah, 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 right? Well, you know, our audience is, our competitors are going to be advertising to our audience, so we want to advertise to the people who are following them because they're perfect buyers for our products. Therefore, we're going to find our top 20 competitors' Facebook pages. Now, I'm not going to make you watch me find top 20, but I'm going to show you how to go ahead and find your first 2 big ones, right? And then you walk them through, go into Facebook, finding the pages. And this is literally just you talking at this stage while making a screen cam tutorial. Right? So you could walk them through as much of this as you want. Now, the trick here, by the way, and this is an important trick, is when you're making these types of videos, you want to give them the overview version of this. You don't want to get them too bogged down in the technicalities to the point where you bore them. Okay, so you could even, if you're worried that like, oh, I might give them too much information, you could actually, instead of, in this example, instead of walking them through all of this level of detail, right? You could simply create a PowerPoint presentation, and you know what? Instead of me telling you how to do it, why don't I just create some template slides for you that walk you through how to do it? Here, we'll do that. I'm going to pause this camera for a minute, and I'll just go ahead and build that for you. Maybe that'll be easiest for you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to just go ahead and with you right now, we're going to create a video outline for this milestone series, at least the very first one, right? So this would be video number 1, and this video would be all about getting better targeted traffic. So the first thing we would do is, because we're in a milestone series, we're going to acknowledge the fact that we're walking them through an actual milestone, or an actual series of stuff to reach a certain goal. So if you remember, the name of our lead magnet was 5 Steps to Double Registrations. So what we're going to do is we're just going to call this to double registrations, and this is now video number 1, getting targeted traffic. All right, perfect. So there we go. Now we have our very first slide. So what this video is going to be about is 3 main points. We're going to show them some competitive research stuff. We're going to show them some complementary targeting, and we're going to show them some custom audience concepts, right? And whatever else we might have made in the actual checkpoint worksheet, which I don't have on the screen, but I'll bring up when it's time, right? So the first thing we want to do in this video is, before we get into the content, we want to tell them why this is important, right? So usually they're going to be watching this because they've tried some stuff that hasn't worked. So basically all we have to do, as a general rule, is point out the stuff they've tried that hasn't worked and say, this is important because you've probably tried this other stuff and it hasn't worked and it never will, and therefore you need to get right and do this stuff, right? So let's go ahead and we'll build that slide now. Now I'll pause it so you don't have to watch me type. What I've done is I just decided to go all out for you here and create an entire milestone template for you. So this is a template for 1 milestone. And like I said earlier, we've done it based on what we have here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to have a title slide, kind of like I said a minute ago. Hey everybody, and I'll just sort of comment on the slides and sort of deliver the slides too at the same time in this little tutorial. So if we were giving this one, we say, hey everybody, Frank Kern here, and welcome to the first video in this series. This series is called 5 Steps to Doubling Your Registration. And today's video is all about getting targeted traffic. Now, here's what we're done with that chunk, by the way. Now here's what you need to understand. In slide number 2, I know you were expecting a different slide, but I'd forgotten about this because I was trying to teach and make the slides at the same time. When we begin a video, we need to sell them on watching the dang video at the beginning of the video, or else they're going to be like lost. The internet is a very distracting place, so we have to constantly be demonstrating and reselling why they should be giving us their precious attention and time. And it truly is precious to them. And the time, you got to think about it, time's the only asset they can never recover. So it's a really precious asset that they give us, and we need to really earn it. So the way we do that here is in the second slide. So in the second slide, what I want you to do is tell them the 3 primary benefits of whatever it is you're going to teach them in the video. And if you notice, I'm basically making cool bullet points based on what I've written here in these checkpoints, right? So competitive research, it sounds cooler to say how to hijack your competition's best prospects. Complementary targeting, it sounds cooler to say how to go where the fish are biting and put your site in front of buyers, right? And finally, custom audiences, it sounds cooler to say how to automatically put your ad in front of people who are exactly like your very best customers. So if I were delivering this slide, I would begin here and I'd say, and today's video is all about getting targeted traffic. So here's what you're getting today. First of all, I'm going to walk you through a very simple but brutally effective way to hijack your competition's best prospects. Of course, by the way, guys, this would be full screen. You know, I'm just wanting to show you these 2 so you can see how I built it. I go into the second bullet here. I say, and next I'm going to show you how to go where the fish are biting. And that's obviously a metaphor, but what I'm trying to tell you here is I'm going to show you how to put your site in front of other people's buyers and fans. And finally, I'm going to show you how to clone your very best customers and put your ad in front of complete strangers who are exactly like them. Doesn't that sound interesting? Well, listen. This is very, very important, and then now I'll go on to the next slide. So in this third slide here, I'm still selling them on watching the video. So if you sort of template out this thing, step number 1, introduce it. Step number 2, tell them what they're getting. Step number 3, tell them why it's important. Step number 4, continue telling them how they're going to benefit. And step number 5 is to start delivering content. And step number 6 is to close. So it's really a 6-step process. So right here, we're still in step number 2 here, or in 3, and this is telling them why it's important. So I would begin here. I'd say, so, you know, how to automatically put your ad in front of the people who are exactly like your very best customers. And listen, here's why this is important. And basically in this stage, like I kind of said earlier before I went all out and created the whole template for you here, in this phase, we need to tell them and really sort of acknowledge everything they've been doing isn't working. So this is where we address their frustrations. So, and listen, this video is really more important now than ever because, listen, if you're doing any type of business right now, you know that the old way of getting traffic is no longer effective, right? I mean, think about it. You're not getting the clicks that you want from the usual places, and that's because people are going somewhere else, so there's just lower traffic volume there. And on top of all that, what little traffic there is left costs a lot more, right? And on top of all that, it's not just you in the marketplace anymore. With tremendous opportunity comes great competition, and that's what most marketplaces have found. So not only are there fewer prospects where you're usually looking, but it's more expensive to get them, and everyone else is competing for them all at the same time. So it's crucially important to learn these new strategies, and that's what I'm going to do for you today. In fact, and now we move on now to slide number 4. We're still selling them. We're telling them specifically how this video is going to help them. In fact, what I'm going to show you in this video is how to spend less money on traffic, which increases your net profit. Now, I want to show you something. This, by the way, is a bullet formula that I like, which is benefit so you can, right? And instead of saying so you can increase your net profit, I just say which increases your net profit. But it's feature, basically, or benefit-laden feature plus primary benefit. And we'll do it again. Only target buyers. Right, so that's a benefit by himself. So that's, you know, a junior copywriter might just say, this is going to show you how to only target buyers. But you always want to tell them why everything is important to them and how every single thing is going to benefit them. So I say only target buyers, so your conversions will be higher and your profit will increase as a result, right? And then just 2 more bullet points. So basically, I'm just building these bullet points based, again, on what I know I'm going to talk about here, right? So that's how I want you to build your bullet points. And again, even if you're a novice copywriter, we could say something like, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to do competitive research so you can target your competition's best customers first, right? So even then, we're just going really, really straightforward, right? So once we have that, now it's time to move into the next phase of this milestone video, which is to deliver the actual content. So all we do right here is we just deliver what the pieces of each checkpoint, right? So if you have forgotten like what you put down here, all you got to do, like me, is just go over here to your milestone, or rather checkpoint creation thing, and we have now checkpoint number 1. This is our competitive research thing, like I showed you in the very first module there. And I say, okay, so part number 1 is competitive research. So here's the first thing you want to do. Step 1 is identify your top competitors in Google search results. Here's why this is important. Now, I know you're probably familiar with Google, but what you don't realize is all of your competitors have fans on Facebook, and these fans can be advertised to quite easily, and these fans can be cloned. And what you also don't realize is a lot of people are promoting your competitors. So what we want to do is we want to use this Ninja Google query to find your competitors' chief affiliates. And the reason we want to do that is we want to target their fans too. So basically, we want to target everyone that your guys are already spending money to reach. Instead of spending all that money to accumulate them, we're just going to harvest them straight from them, right? So you're just going to give that content. We would do the same thing for complementary targeting. This is where if you remember in the first module, I actually got kind of ahead of myself here. So I teach them how to use compete.com. And in the third section here, I teach them how to use custom audiences. Now remember, this is all over here, by the way, in our milestone worksheet. So I'm not doing any extra work. I'm just putting the same stuff I'd written in my PDF. I've just made a keynote slide out of it, right? So now that we have given them all of this great content, what we want to do now is start segueing into your offer. Because remember, if we are helping them The moment that we're helping them get results and they can see how they can get results and we're delivering good content, at that exact moment, their interest in what we have, their desire to get the results that we have, and their trust in us is escalated because we've demonstrated we can help them by actually helping them. And we're not being like typical marketing buttholes, right? Where it's just nothing but hype. We're actually helping them. So that's why you always want to segue into an offer here. You don't have to be obnoxious about it. I'm going to just show you how to be very, very straightforward in this video. So here's what you do. You say something like this. Now, this is a bad headline here. I'm just sort of kind of wanting to give you the overall concept, right? So you would say something like, now listen, if you think that this is powerful, you're right. It really, really is. But if you combine it with other strategies, you can really compound the effectiveness. For example, and then what you do is you take the main 3 benefits or 4 or 5 or however, main benefits of your product and you list them here, okay? So I'll give you an example in real life. So we're talking about generating webinar registrants, right, in this video right here. And I really do have a product called Ultimate Webinar Blueprint, which you can buy if you want to at ultimatewebinarblueprint.com, although that kind of goes to an order form, so there's not really a lot of sales copy, so I don't think you'd be really convinced by just seeing an order form. So ignore that for now. But what that product does is it, thing number 1, shows them how to create a webinar in 28 days, and it shows them the 5 pillars of a good webinar. Thing number 1 is getting registrants, which you kind of already went through here. Thing number 2 is what to do before they show up to increase the show up rate. So that, as I would put right here, I'd say something like, now that I've shown you how to get lots more registrants by expanding your traffic, why don't we really turbocharge that? Now, for example, most registrants and most people who run webinars don't have a very good show-up rate. But did you know there are some strategies that you can use to really increase your show-up rate? And that's what I teach in Module 2 of Ultimate Webinar Blueprint, right? So I would put that right here. Increase show-up rate through the use of a pre-indoctrination sequence. And then I would say something like, now, another thing is that most people don't have a good webinar. It doesn't really turn people into sales. And the reason why is because of 2 things. Number 1, they're either too hypey, or number 2, they bog people down and they get them overwhelmed and bored and they don't stay on until the end. So if you have a webinar delivered properly where you give just the right balance of content and sales, then these extra registrants you're getting would really, really turn into more sales for you. And finally, what people don't realize is, and of course this is the 3rd primary benefit of Ultimate Webinar Blueprint, is that, listen, no matter how good your webinar is, not all people are going to buy, but most of your competitors are going to be simply pummeling the people who attended with replays, urging them to watch a replay over and over again. Well, listen, that never works. Instead, there's a process that I'd like to show you that's called a post-webinar sequence that actually delivers continuous value to them while escalating their desire and trust in you. And so you list these 3 benefits, and then you start talking about the product. So you say, if all of this sounds interested, if all of this is something that you're interested in, I can't talk today. You say, if this is something that sounds good to you, then you would really enjoy. And this is where you start talking about your product. So here I would write a product I created called Ultimate Webinar Blueprint. And now what you want to do is you have a little formula here. In your next slide, you're going to list the primary benefit of the product so you can get the overall benefit of the results. So here's the thing. The primary benefit of Ultimate Webinar Blueprint is how to create a webinar campaign that sells in 28 days. That's the benefit. So I would say, if you like this kind of stuff, you are really going to enjoy a brand new class I've created called Ultimate Webinar Blueprint. Ultimate Webinar Blueprint shows you a proven method to create a webinar campaign that sells in 28 days or less, and then we have so you can get the overall benefit of that result, right? And so that overall benefit would be, from my perspective anyway, the overall benefit of having a webinar campaign that sells created in 28 days or less would be so you can have a consistent and predictable stream of incoming sales and revenue for your business. So I'd word this slide as, I'd go ahead and back up here, so all the way to here. So if all this sounds good to you, you would really going to enjoy a brand new course I've created for you called Ultimate Webinar Blueprint. Ultimate Webinar Blueprint is an A to Z class which reveals how you can create a complete webinar campaign from start to finish that really creates sales in 28 days or less, so you can get predictable and consistent sales and revenue in your business while continuing to deliver value and goodwill to your prospects in the process. And see, that was pretty simple, right? And what we do now is we start going over the components of your product, right? So in my case, I would say, here's how Ultimate Webinar Blueprint works. It's broken down into 4 modules, and in module 1, I walk you through even more ways to get registrants. And I will just list some bullet points, kind of like you'd normally do in sales copy. In module 2, we're going to discuss, and you see I'm on the next slide here. In module 2, I'm going to show you how to make sure that those webinars show, or make sure those registrants show up to your webinar predisposed to know, like, and trust you. And I'm going to show you how to use something called an indoctrination sequence to overcome their objections before they ever show up, and in the process cause more of them to show up than who are showing up on your competitors' websites. And as you know, more people on the webinar equals more sales. In module 3, and now I know I'm kind of doing a bad job of selling this, but I'm more concerned with showing you the structure than trying to pitch you on Ultimate Webinar Blueprint, because that's not why you're in this class. You want to know this structure, right? So I would go on to do the exact same thing for every component of my offer, right? So once we've done that, our next phase of this pitch is to build value. So a classic way to do that, and you don't want your headline here to say build value, right? You might say something like cost ? Or something like that. Then you would say there are several ways to do it. You don't say all 3 of these. You sort of pick one of these as your theme. So one way to do it is other people will charge you $2,000 for a webinar course, but they don't know a single thing about pre-indoctrination because I'm the only one who does it. Also, they're going to teach you how to do replays of your webinar when, listen, that's what everybody does. If you do what everybody does, you'll get the results everybody has. I want to show you something new, right? That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is say, now listen, I've sold this product originally for X, but I'm willing to offer it for a special discount today. Another way to do it is where you build the value of it if they try to do everything on their own, right? So if you tried to build this tomato garden on your own, you'd have to hire an architect, you'd have to till the land yourself, you'd have to find the organic chemistry to make the fertilizer properly, and blah, 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 blah. But if you use my system, you get everything in one and it's significantly less. Any of these angles for building value are fine, right? So these are 3 ways you can kind of do it. Once we build the value, what we want to do is we want to issue a decoy price. This is a decoy price that's simply going to be higher than your normal price, and you structure it 2 ways. What we're doing right here is basically a really big price drop. So the first decoy price is you say, now listen, well, first of all, we've already built the value to be more than what the decoy price is, right? So let's say the value is $2,000 that we've built up here. So your decoy price is this. You say, now, you don't have to pay $2,000 to get it. As a matter of fact, you can get it today for just 3 payments of $497, right? So that's decoy price number 1. And then what you want to do is you want to give a full pay option at a discount. You say, or you can save an additional, or you can save $200 by making 1 payment of $950 or whatever the math is, right? So it's less than the 3 payments combined. So that's the decoy price. So now what you want to do is you want to give something called a drop-down price, and this is your true price. So the way you do this is you say, however, if you order today, I'm willing to give you an even bigger discount. So you can say if you order today, if you order in the next 30 minutes, if you're one of the first 15 people to order, if you order within the next 4 days, it doesn't matter, but you need to give some sort of a deadline here. So for the sake of argument, I'll just say today, right? So you say, if you order today, you can even get a bigger discount and get it for 3 payments of just $397, right? And then you drop down again with your full pay. And you say, or you can get a huge discount and save even more money by just making 1 payment of $597, right? So as you see, now you've really dropped down in your pricing strategy. Now, all along, you wanted to sell it for $597, but you needed to build the value and do that drop down in price to build your desirability. So now that we've done that, it's time to state your guarantee. And this is where you really just make no bones, no frills about it. Like, hey, listen, if you're not satisfied with this for any reason in the next 5,000 years, let me know and I'll give you my left kidney or whatever it may be. right? So once we've done that, we say, and if that's not enough to get you really excited about participating in this class, I'd also like to give you bonus number 1. Now, bonus number 1 usually costs, and this is where we state the value of it, it's normally $97, but today you can have it for free, and in this bonus, you're going to discover main benefits so you can, cool thing, right? So you're going to discover how to write incredibly hard-hitting sales copy so you can convert more buyers into sales more consistently or something like that, right? And then you do bonus number 2, same formula. If you only have one bonus, that's fine. If you don't have any bonuses, make this anyway and just leave the bonuses out. Incomplete is better than non-existent, right? And finally, what we do after the bonuses is we need to give them a reason to order now. So after all of this, we still, want to push them over the edge. So one way to do it is impending price hike. And you can say, hey, listen, this is only good for 24 hours. Another way is if you're not going to raise the price, you can say these bonuses are only available for X amount of time. Or you can say this offer is going to expire completely in X amount of time. All 3 of those are perfectly good reasons why. You do need to be truthful, though. You need to actually raise the price or remove the offer or take away the bonuses, or else you lose credibility. So your next phase is to generally recap the offer, right? So you say, so here's what you're getting today. The ultimate webinar blueprint that shows you how you can create a complete A to Z webinar campaign that sells in 28 days or less so you can have a consistent source of new sales and profits and prospects for your business without being all salesy and hypey. You can get it today for 3 payments of X, or you can save lots of money and get it for 1 payment of Y. And when you order today, you're also getting bonus number 1, which is normally X dollars and shows you how to blah, 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 so you can blah. And you're getting bonus number 2, which is an additional X dollars, but yours free, and it shows you how you can X so you can Y. And on top of that, if for any reason you're not satisfied, you can have everything for free and you never have to pay me another dime, and you can have my left kidney, right? I don't suggest you actually give anyone your kidney. And once we've done that, we need to end it by, again, restating the reason to order now. But please, you need to understand this offer is extremely generous and it's very limited, and I can only order it for the next, or I can only offer it for the next 24 hours or whatever. So go ahead and click the link below this video to place your order. Right, so imagine now that we create 4 or 5 of these. You can leave your pitch part the same, by the way. You can record the pitch once and just append it to the new copy for everything in your milestone series. But man, if you do this 4 times, you're getting a new opportunity to pitch your product 4 different times while building goodwill by walking them through the milestone every single time. So I know we went a little long in this video. I intended it to be kind of shorter, but I figured, hey, you know what? You're going to get a lot more out of this class if I just kind of go ahead and do some of the stuff for you. So I've made this keynote available for you as a download under this video. Go ahead, download it, watch the video again, go through these slides while I'm talking and get out your milestone worksheets and your checkpoint worksheets here. And let's go ahead and just build one of these suckers, right? Make the pitch at the end of it and let's get you some sales. In your next video, I'll show you how to build your milestone pages so that they can actually sell stuff and they look cool and people like them. It's going to be pretty simple because you've already done a lot of this hard work already. Okay, so thanks for bearing with me in this one, unusually long version of this video here. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.